So hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 17 of our season 4 on F1 Manager 23. Now if you didn't watch the last episode, go back and watch that one. It was Singapore, of course. Lando Norris in P1, Pierre Gasly in P5. Checo Perez, decent performance once again from him, but Lando Norris was in complete control, it must be said. And it's all looking very, very good in the championship at this moment in time. Constructor standings wise, we are on 631 points, Red Bull on 448, and then you go to McLaren on 332. Could McLaren possibly catch Red Bull? Who knows? Driver standings wise, Lando Norris now is 25 points ahead of his teammate Pierre Gasly. Max Verstappen is on 276. Perez in P4 ahead of George Russell, crucially, and Charles Leclerc is leading the Ferrari boys as well. This weekend, we do head to Suzuka. Of course, 53 laps around here. Expected strategy is a two-stop. Car attributes, top speed, very crucial, as is the high-speed cornering as well. There is not too much else to bring you up to date with, ladies and gentlemen. There's normally a safety car around Suzuka. We'll see how that pans out, but I'll get through practice and see you in qualifying for the Japanese Grand Prix. And here we are then, ladies and gentlemen, final laps in Q3. Checo Perez, he's been lightning quick all weekend. Lando Norris, he's not improving on a fresh set of soft compound tyres as the sun sets here in the land of the rising sun. Lando Norris round the final corner, yellow through the first and second sectors. It's only good enough for P2. What can Pierre Gasly do? Can he improve on it? He certainly can. He goes on to the second row. But my word, Max Verstappen, what can he do here? Is he going to improve? He isn't. Max Verstappen is a second off Checo Perez in that McLaren. Checo Perez is cooking on gas at this moment in time. And as we fast forward to the end, it's Perez on pole position, Norris in P2, Gasly in P3, Leclerc in 4th, and we have got rain on Sunday. Let's get to the strategy. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be some Grand Prix. There's going to be some pit stop practice because we're going to start on the soft compounded tyre, and then after 6 laps, we are going to be ready for the intermediates, and another set of intermediates towards the middle of the Grand Prix, all the way to the very end. We may even get a little bit of sunshine at the end of this Grand Prix. So starting in P2 and P3, both cars, of course, starting on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. We've took a fair bit of fuel out of the car. Let's get to 5 red lights.
We're all good to go here in Japan with 53 laps around the Suzuka circuit. And for Lando Norris, this is another chance to see what he can do in this car.
They're in second place on the grid, but that could so easily change in the first few seconds after lights out.
And it'll be exciting to see just what will happen here today. Get ready. It's the Japanese Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
And away we go, and straight away, Checo Perez leading off the line. Lando Norris looking to attack him through turn 1. Could Lando Norris possibly get in front of this vastly quick McLaren? I mean, Checo Perez has been so quick all weekend, but straight away, Perez goes a little bit wide in Sector 1, and Lando Norris takes the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix. Pierre Gasly in P3, then comes Leclerc in P4, Verstappen in P5, Porsche P6, Ocon down in P7 fighting with Albon, George Russell down in P9, Oscar Piastri, must be said, he's underperforming a little bit in that car at this moment in time, or has Checo Perez just got wired in to that car. But as we go midway through lap 1, Lando Norris leading, Perez in hot pursuit, Gasly in P3. Lap 3, it's got to be said, the lead didn't last for long. Checo Perez looks insatiably quick in this McLaren. Round the outside, he's got all the confidence in the world to then start the run up towards 130R. And Checo Perez is now your new race leader. Fantastic work from Checo Perez. As we cut back to the live action, we can see DRS is now enabled. We are on lap 3. We are expecting it to start raining in a moment, but is it going to get to wet conditions, or are we going to be on the mediums for the rest of this Grand Prix? A lot to consider, but lap 3, Norris is the fastest lap, Perez in P1, Gasly over a second back and out of the DRS of his teammate. Remember when I said Piastri was underperforming in the McLaren? Well, he's just gone and done this. Oscar Piastri, as we have a look, coming in towards the final chicane, just goes straight on, and Oscar Piastri locking up at this moment in time. The weather is getting difficult, but still not looking like it's going to damp conditions. It's going to go to damp conditions in around 9 minutes' time. We are going to be pushing on the tyres, specifically with Pierre Gasly, who's lost 4 seconds to his teammate. But once again, this may not be the worst thing in the world, because what it does mean is we can pit both cars on the same lap, providing we get a couple of decent pit stops. Perez now has Lando Norris for company. Lando's managed to get back in DRS and he's attacking the Mexican.
So just watch.
Virtual safety car is out, and we are going to possibly be pitting at the end of this lap to go on to the intermediates and get a cheap pit stop here. Let's have a look at what's happened. Daniel Ricciardo in the Haas. Let's have a little look. Oh my word, Yuki Tsunoda has just absolutely punted Daniel Ricciardo into another dimension. What a crash that is from Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo. So disappointing for both drivers, but I would now imagine we'll be pitting this lap. And this pit lane is about to get very, very busy because everybody is going to be pitting this lap. Lando Norris is in, Perez is in, Gasly's in. Everyone is going to be coming in to go onto the intermediate compounder tyre. If ever we need a decent set of pit stops, this would probably be it. Lando Norris into the box. It looks pretty quick. There goes it. It's on 3.5 seconds. It's clean, if not spectacular. And Gasly's into the pits. And once again, Pierre Gasly does not get the look of the draw with these pit stops. And now he's getting held. And does end up behind Charles Leclerc and possibly just behind Charles Leclerc. But Lando Norris did very, very well out of that. He's jumped Checo Perez and he's now out onto the intermediate compounder tyre. 5.3 seconds was the stop for Pierre Gasly. He's going to come out behind Charles Leclerc, but we still are under VSC conditions. We are back to green flag running on lap 8, and it must be said the track isn't even ready for intermediates at this moment in time. It will be very shortly. We are just going to nurse these tyres and bring them in because we don't want to absolutely obliterate these intermediates early doors. Perez is in P2. Zhou Guanyu choosing not to pit. He's now on the better compounder tyre, it must be said. Leclerc and Gasly in P4 and 5. Verstappen's in P6, a further 2 seconds back. Then comes Piastri, who had that incident as we saw earlier on. Ocon in P8, Porsche P9 and Russell in P10. We have got 2 DNFs already. Daniel Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda at his home Grand Prix. But Checo Perez has just done the thing that he couldn't do. Lando Norris taking his time around that final chicane. And Checo Perez spins that McLaren. He's been imperious all weekend, but now Lando Norris is just ticking up to those damp conditions. He's now 2.5 seconds ahead. Gasly now P4, dropped back by a little bit, but it must be said that works wonders for us now. We are expecting damp conditions in a minute, and then we can start to push these intermediates. At the moment, we are managing the tyres beautifully. Lap 10. Pierre Gasly has got Charles Leclerc, and it's lovely work from Pierre. He's now up into P3. It's going to be a double Andretti Cadillac podium at this rate. It's lovely work in the first sector. The confidence is coming for Pierre at this moment in time. Gasly now on to the podium positions. Lando Norris and the intermediates. Checo Perez has just started to reel him in a little bit. He's going by 4 tenths on that last lap. But Lando Norris has got by far the better intermediates. We can start pushing again. And we are conserving fuel beautifully at this moment in time. It's looking very well on lap 15. Norris from Perez. Gasly in P3. Leclerc in P4, Verstappen into P5. Ocon, Russell, Porsche, Albon and Hamilton now in the points-paying positions. And these two are having a bit of a ding-dong battle today because Leclerc has now got Gasly. They're having a really good battle on track, but Charles Leclerc in that scarlet red Ferrari round the outside. Lovely work into the final chicane and gets the job done just before the start-finish straight. Looking very tough for Pierre Gasly, fighting against Charles Leclerc. As we just cut back to the live action, we can see it's a 1.8 second gap now between Perez and Norris. Leclerc and Gasly are still very closely in contention. Good gap to Verstappen, 5.6 seconds, but Norris still leading the way. Lap 21, and it must be said, DRS is wide open on that car because it's just flicked back to dry conditions. Checo Perez making the most of it. He got up to Lando Norris and has managed to get into the lead of the Grand Prix from there. It's a very weird race, this, because it's on the cusp all the time of being dry and being damp. At the moment, we're on dry conditions, but in 2 minutes, we're going to be back to damp. So difficult for the drivers to manage, but they're both doing the utmost at this moment. We are back to damp running, but let's just have a little look at this Nico Hülkenberg spin on turn 17. As we can see here, very similar to the Checo Perez one, just losing control of the car. I still love the look of that Hugo Boss Red Bull, by the way. But let's just have a little look at this because we're going to have a look here. We're on 65% tyres with Norris and Gasly at the moment. Perez on 50%. They're going to have to pit a little bit earlier than we are. Charles Leclerc's just pit to possibly go for the undercut on Pierre Gasly and then got stuck behind Alexander Albon. At the moment, we're looking in quite a nice situation here, and we're just going to start attacking a little bit more on the tyres because we're going to be coming in around lap 30 at this moment in time. There's still a decent gap between Norris and Gasly. Lap 25. Checo Perez on lap 27 is into the pits. We were just checking to see what sort of gap we've got. But let's have a look at the pit stop from Checo Perez. It is a decent pit stop indeed. He's out on to a fresh set of intermediate tyres that's possibly going to take him to the very end. He should come out in a nice little gap, it must be said. Where is Ocon? Ocon just coming down the start-finish straight. Is Perez going to get out in front of Ocon? He isn't. He's going to be behind Esteban Ocon, but in a bit of clean air. Now's the time for our guys to really start attacking on these intermediate tyres and using up what is left of them. Lap 30 and Pierre Gasly. Esteban Ocon, Pierre Gasly is in to the pits. Let's hope he has a better pit stop than his first one here. Into the pits comes Pierre Gasly. Is it a decent stop? It is 3.5 seconds. Lando Norris pushing round at this moment in time. We're even going to start deploying a little bit of VRS with Lando Norris. Let's see where Pierre Gasly ends up. Checo Perez coming down the start finish straight, as is George Russell. George Russell, who I don't believe has pit just yet. Let's have a look. He hasn't, so George Russell's going to pit. But out comes Pierre Gasly. He's just going to come out now behind Checo Perez. Lando Norris will be in this lap. Lando pit lane on lap 30. Perfect time for Lando Norris to come in. We reckon this is the optimal time to come in for Lando Norris, and I think tyre wear is going to play a pivotal part towards the end of this Grand Prix, so I'm not too concerned that we're coming in a couple of laps later. This could come back and help us at the end of this Grand Prix, but Lando Norris hopefully will come out in front of George Russell. That's the idea. Now Checo Perez is just coming down the start finish straight. Lando Norris trundling down the pit lane. Is he going to come out in front of Checo Perez? He had a good in lap, did Lando Norris, but not good enough. Checo Perez does get the undercut, but he is now on 88% tyres. Lando Norris now on fresh intermediates. Russell's coming to the pits, so it's 1, 2, 3, Perez, Norris and Gasly. Lap 38, Théo Pourchaire is having a shocking time of it at this moment. And into sector 1, just running wide. He's just had a little spin as well. Théo Pourchaire, very inconsistent. Of course, very early into his Formula 1 career, but Théo Pourchaire in P8 at this moment. Doing, okay, it must be said, Perez is now in P1. It's a 3.4 second gap to Lando Norris, but we are managing these tyres knowing this could come to us towards the end. Gasly in P3, Leclerc is 16 seconds back from the top three. Verstappen in P5, Russell in P6, the two Red Bulls having a decent, if unspectacular day. Esteban Ocon in P7, Pourchaire P8, then come the two Mercs of Albon and Bottas in P9 and 10. This may come to us towards the end, ladies and gents. Lap 48, we've just been told with 5 laps to go, there is no more rain. Now, this is going to be very interesting. We're going to try and attack a little bit on these tyres now and get up to the back of Checo Perez. Gasly as well, pushing on. There's a 24-second gap to Leclerc. The track is still damp at this moment. Is it worth pitting for dries? We'll probably do what Perez doesn't. We have got some people pitting for the dry compounder tyre, but Checo Perez is not one of them, and it's getting very, very interesting at the front because he's on 45% tyres. Lando Norris is on 56% tyres. What could happen here? This is going to be absolutely crucial because we are going to get DRS. We are going to have the better tyres as well. Lando Norris, with 3 laps to go, could win the Japanese Grand Prix. And with 3 laps to go, Checo Perez has pit onto the soft compounder tyre. We are going to stay out with Lando Norris and hope that we are able to win this Grand Prix. The gap is 15 seconds in 3 laps. It could quite conceivably happen, but my word, this is a gamble that we may just have to take. And ladies and gentlemen, you join us back on the last lap, and unfortunately, Checo Perez got the call right. We took the gamble, and Checo Perez, we tried to stay out on the on the intermediates. It's not quite worked for us, and Checo Perez, I felt it made sense. I thought we could possibly hold out, and we are but half a lap away from making it work. He has closed the gap significantly, but as we trundle up towards 130R, Gasly's definitely going to get P3. Lando Norris is going to get P2. I honestly don't think we would have done any better if we'd have gone onto the soft compounded tyre, but Lando Norris is going to get P2 today. It's good for the championship. Both cars are going to trundle across the line. Checo Perez, fastest lap of the Grand Prix in the end. Lando Norris in P2 and Pierre Gasly in P3. Fantastic work from Checo Perez. Deserves all that today. But the gamble, did it pay off? Let me know if you'd have done something different, but let's get to the podium.
What a remarkable drive by Lando Norris today.
That was an excellent performance. They set out with a great strategy, and it paid off with an impressive podium finish.
And you love to see this. The whole team celebrating this magnificent result. And after such a fabulous drive here today, it's no surprise to see this man land on the podium.
It gets even better for the team, with both drivers scoring a podium finish this weekend.
Do you know what? I don't think you can take that away from Checo Perez. He was the fastest driver all weekend, and it's nice to see Checo Perez and McLaren on the top step of the podium. But at the moment, we haven't got to win every race. These two are in a fight of their own. Perez fastest lap, 3 stops. That's possibly where we went a little bit wrong in the end. 26 points for Checo Perez. Lando Norris in P2, Gasly P3, then comes Leclerc, Russell in P5, Verstappen P6, Ocon, Teo Pourchaire, Valtteri Bottas and Oscar Piastri in P10. Drivers standings-wise, Lando Norris still leads the way, 346 points. He gains more on his teammate this weekend. Verstappen in P3. Checo Perez, would that be some story if he managed to overtake Max Verstappen in that McLaren as the lead driver? Constructors standings-wise, we are on 664 points. We scored the most of the weekend, so it's another decent return for us this weekend. And ladies and gentlemen, it's all looking very rosy as the sun sets in Japan. I hope you've enjoyed that one. Please do like and subscribe, and I shall see you on the next one. Ta-ra!